Its advantage Congress as it leads in the two BJP-ruled heartland states, that's Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, and it's locked in a tough fight with the BJP in Madhya Pradesh. It's the ruling TRS that is looking to retain Telangana quite comfortably, and for the ruling BJP, it's the final test of politics before it goes on to the voters for another term in the centre. Let's take this discussion further. Our executive editor, Supriya Srinath, caught up with the Swaraj India president, Yogendra Yadav. Let's listen in to that conversation on the political front.
It is clear disadvantage BJP in terms of popular sentiment. Popular sentiment, at least in these three critical Hindi heartland states, is shifting against the BJP, but it is an organizational setback to the Congress. The astonishing thing is Congress's inability to convert what is clearly a resentment, unhappiness, disillusionment with the BJP in these states into a clear victory. The most stunning thing is that the Congress is still struggling to get to the majority mark in Rajasthan, a place where there was arrogance of the BJP government, there were serious allegations of corruption, there was agrarian distress, everything going against the BJP. And in that state, if the Congress is struggling, that gives you a sense of what kind of a party Congress is. What we know from today's verdict is what doesn't work. Monday doesn't work. BJP tried. Mr. Yogi did lots of meetings. That doesn't work. Pure election coalition arithmetic doesn't work. Otherwise, in Telangana, it should have worked. What we know is that this disillusionment with BJP has set in, but that disillusionment cannot be encashed automatically unless there is a vision, unless there is an alternative narrative, and the Congress is unable to offer that.
No, I think that's putting it rather well, that the disillusion may have set in, and I think a lot of the disillusionment is also on account of the fact that there was an exuberant promise that was made in 2014. Some of that promise was so unreal that we could have never lived up to it, and which is why the disillusionment has set in. And you're right that there are no viable alternatives available on the other side, and the organization is perhaps lacking. And I will come to that in just a bit. I mean, nothing explains the fact that 165 is what the BJP was at when they won Rajasthan, and the Congress is struggling to find, get itself to the halfway mark on its own, and beginning to talk to allies and things like that. But Mr. Yadav, I will first focus on the ruling party, because to our constituents, what happens to the BJP and its fate determines the market action and all of that. A lot of people are now beginning to worry about two things. The first thing is that the Hindi heartland, which is Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, is seriously disillusioned. If Mr. Modi has to come back to power with a meaningful number on the table in 2019, he's got to win this heartland hands down. And 65 of the seats in that heartland between these three states, of which the BJP has 62 already, don't seem to be going that way.
That's the whole point. One should not draw a conclusion from these three states about the entire country. This tells us nothing about what would happen in Tamil Nadu or Kerala or most of those places. But first of all, it tells us something about what would happen in these three states, which have 65 seats. I'm at the moment excluding Telangana because that's a unique situation. 65 seats, BJP won 62. By today's reckoning, they are not getting even 30. And the historical record shows that whichever party does well in assembly election in these three states tend to do better in these three states in the parliamentary election within 6 months. So going by that record, BJP would be down to 20. Second, I think it's reasonable to say that these trends tell us something about the Hindi heartland, neighboring states as well. What are the things that we can see? Number one, rural agrarian distress is for real, and it is beginning to hurt. Critical sectors like Dalits and Adivasis, which BJP had for the first time got in 2014, are beginning to move away. Mandir doesn't work, and Mr. Modi's magic towards the end of the elections, which would swing the election finally, doesn't seem to be working. These are broad conclusions we can draw. You are absolutely right. And this is about 226 seats of the Hindi belt, which is what 2019 Lok Sabha election will be all about. Because in the rest of the 300 seats, BJP's gains and losses will be neutralized. BJP has to fight in these 226 seats.
No, absolutely. That's the sum and substance of elections 2019. And I know a lot of people say Northeast gains. Northeast in all of it, and I respect the mandate there, I respect the populace there, contributes to 25 Lok Sabha seats in all of the Northeast put together. But Mr. Yadav, you raise an important point that the agrarian mess is for real. Will I be too audacious to put a hypothesis on the table, and that hypothesis is that elections 2018 were not about Gotra, were not about religion, were not about Mandir. People worry more about growth, they worry about economic employment, they worry about jobs, they worry about, stressful situations on India's farms. Can I safely say that elections 2018 were about the economy?
Yes, and this is such a good news. All the pre-election opinion polls, and I watch these polls not for their forecast, but for the other data that they bring, they showed that job was number one. Traditionally in Indian opinion polls, Mehngai, price rise, has been number one, no matter what the rate of inflation in the country is. But this time, jobs were mentioned as the uppermost concern by the people. Strangely, none of the political party actually takes it up as a big issue, and none of the political party, none of the opposition actually comes up with a narrative on the job question. So yes, it was about jobs. Number two, it was about agrarian distress. It was about rural distress in general. And if we look at the pattern in different states, that is what has hurt the BJP most.
Indeed it has, and which is why one question that I want to put forward on the BJP front and then move across to the other end of the political spectrum, and that question is that whether it is about the verdict or otherwise, there is a fear, and this fear is obviously coming out of, I think, Governor Patel's own resignation and all of that, and that fear is that this verdict may tempt the government to go to pull the plugs on populism, to go to go all out as far as SOPs are concerned, and these are things that markets lose nerve on, they are concerned about. And given the fact that you've got a man who resisted additional liquidity and resisted sharing of reserves and all of that, and those fears are also coming from the fact that could this be put to populist use, is gone, those fears are aggravated. Would you give credence to those fears, and do you yourself, are you concerned that there could be spigots that will be opened up on lending, and that may not be the best thing?
BJP is worried, they have reasons to be concerned, and they put everything into elections. And for Mr. Modi, this election is make or break. So yes, he would put everything. Given his track record, we know that he would not honor or respect any institutional constraints. Someone who can go for demonetization, someone who can go for pushing the governor of RBI out, and we know the reasons, I mean this is no secret why he is out, would not hesitate to push it further. So yes, we should expect some, call it populist, call it something which would desperate gamble for him to wean the voters back. Whether that desperate gamble takes place in Ayodhya or in Indo-Pakistan border or on the economy, we cannot be sure. But yes, we would expect a desperate gamble to be played by the government.
No, absolutely, a desperate gamble indeed, but a few last questions, and I think some of those questions will now have to come to the Congress party. The fact that, it is not a sweep that people were referring to in Rajasthan, and now, seat selections and ticket distribution is being blamed, or the fact that Madhya Pradesh continues to be neck and neck, and despite a 3-term government that should have seen huge anti-incumbency, what does that tell you about the Congress's own cadre, own morale, own organization? The fact that, and these were the strongest regional satraps, whether it's a Kamal Nath or a Jyotiraditya Scindia in Madhya Pradesh or a Gehlot and Pilot in Rajasthan, this was their best bet.
They used to say Congress never misses a chance to miss a chance. And we are witnessing one more scenario of that kind. I mean, I'm truly astonished about Rajasthan. I've traveled there. I have sensed the anger in people because the regime was not only non-responsive, it was also very arrogant. So I know what Rajasthanis feel like. But if this is what the result is, clearly Congress needs to do some serious soul searching, and if they think that this Mahagathbandhan is the only thing which is going to carry them forward, they are living in an unreal world. Telangana shows Mahagathbandhan alone is not the answer. Rajasthan shows unless you are serious about your organization, there is no way forward. Madhya Pradesh shows unless you come up with alternative narrative and unless you actually work on the ground, which is what they did in Chhattisgarh, and that's why they've done well. For the last 4 years, Congress played opposition in Chhattisgarh, which it did not in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan.
the take coming in. ET now exclusively speaking with Yogendra Yadav about the shocking elections, but despite that and the RBI resignation, the markets have managed to hold out today.